Good evening, how you doing? My name is Richard Norman. So I should explain who I am this evening. My name is Richard Norman, and I am basically a software architect. So I'm a programmer, I'm somebody that writes code, I'm somebody that kind of acts as a bridge into a number of other communities. So one of the things that I do is I'm very involved obviously in the technical community and innovation, but I also bridge into the InfoSec and the cyber security community. And so what I really wanted to do tonight was come along tonight and try to give you some really good advice and knowledge bombs, right? Straight in from the security community about how you run your websites, about how you secure your websites, and some of the things that you're going to look out for, some of the things that potentially might be a bit scary for you. Alright, so we've asked you tonight here just to go to blackpage.co.uk. Nothing bad's going to happen if you get a browser open. Alright, what we're going to do is do some fun stuff with this. But really what I'm trying to do, well, watch yourself, what I'm really going to try to do tonight is give you 3 kind of really good lessons about how you can secure your websites, right? About 3 things that are really important that you need to be aware of if you're going to exist on the wider internet. Alright, so if you've gone to Blackpage, I'm going to ask Connor now, he's just did it a bit early. We've never done this, by the way, before, so if it all goes a bit horribly wrong, right, this is what happens. So I'm going to explain what this is. And so we've asked you to go to Blackpage, and by going to Blackpage, what you've done, you should see this page here, which is asking you to participate in the demo. If he switches it back to the other one, this is the tool, this is the framework that's picked you up because you've gone to that website. So essentially, if you look on Blackpage, if you I don't know, all you're on the phones, but if you F12 this, what you would see is a little bit of JavaScript, just a single line of script tag, right, with a hook.js on it. And just by having that bit of script on a website, what it's done is it's hooked you, right? And this is what you're looking at here. You're looking at all your phones, all the IP addresses of everybody's phones, everybody's devices that have gone to that website. There's nothing on that website. If you look at that website, there's like literally about 20 characters of HTML on it, just the H2 tags of the message, right? And you can see down here, I don't know if you can see here, it says mobile tree. You can see all the various exploits and things that we can do to you just because you joined that website, just because you went to that website, just because you went there, just because that script tag executed. This is all the stuff. If Connor scrolls down it, right, there's some really, really nasty. None of this stuff we're doing to you tonight, right? We're just going to have a wee bit of fun tonight, right? But there's a load of stuff in there. And you can see all the variety of stuff that's coming in here. This is how dangerous it is. This is the sort of stuff that's out there to come and get you, right? I don't want to scare you too much, right? So, what this is, if we go back to the other page, right, if Connor can switch across quickly at the top, it's difficult to see, he's trying to find it. Right, we're going to try to put it back to the other one, into the actual black page. It's up the top, right at the very top. It's just because of the screen. You got it all right? And so what this is going to do is it's going to try to do a few of these kind of things to you. If he finds it, you got it? No? Scroll up. It's because you've got it on. You go right on there. You need to scroll it down. He's managed to get it. There you go. That's you. There. This one here. Right. Move on to this one now. That's you. Right. So he's going to run a couple of exploits on this browser, on the screen, and also Colin's one, which has actually gone off. Because Colin's got his thing. So pretend it's 1997. Right. Pretend it's 1997. This is the days of Microsoft. Right. You remember those days? Got this one? Just about. Here we go. Right, it takes a wee second because we're on our phones and all the fucking Wi-Fi is not working particularly well tonight. There you go. Remember those days? Remember the days of Clippy? Right, when it used to ask you things? When Clippy would come along and say, look, hey, do you want to upgrade your browser? To explain what this is doing, it's all JavaScript. Right, so this is the same technology that most of you use when you're doing your anticipated leave. You know the thing you do at the end of the thing when you detect that the user's going to the top right of the screen and you pop up your message box, right, to say, hey, join my mailing list, right? This is exactly the same technology. Notice there's no warnings, right? There's no antivirus kicking in at this point. Nobody's telling you anything. Nobody's saying this is bad, right? Because it's just standard technology, right? And just all off a single JavaScript file. Do any of you guys use LastPass? Right? You're going to use password managers. You're going to use this. Well, you started last, good man. After looking at some of that stuff, right? Okay. Good man, right? And so you might be prompted. Somebody might say to you, "Hey, look, you've just been logged out or something, right? You got it? Just about. Here we go." And so this is all happening in your browser. This is all basically because you controlled your browser. You can see this here, right? It's prompted you. Do you want to sign into your LastPass? Well, you didn't ask it for that, right? It's done this on its own, right? You were just sitting there looking at the browser, and do you know what? It just did this in front of you. Maybe you use Gmail, right? Maybe you're a regular Gmail user, and you want to log into Gmail, right? You got it? Just about? yeah, not really. And so all of this is done in the background, right? Just off a single line of script tag, right? Got it? Here it goes. Yeah, it's doing its thing. We're going to get there, finally. Not really.
Technology.
I know it is. There you go. Fantastic. Look, it's now going to log into to Gmail. And all of this is controlled through his other laptop. He's not touching the laptop. See the laptop that's running this? There's nobody touching this. There's nobody touching the keys. Nobody's touching the mouse. Right? It's doing this on its own. Right? And this is classic phishing techniques. And this is all happening off a single XSS, a single script tag. Yeah? So if we head back to the presentation, it's probably worth going back to the presentation now. I'll start talking on. This is a difficult bit for him over. Right? He's had to do this, had to do all of this. Next page. There we go. So what this is what's known as cross-site scripting. This is my advice to you. Right? A single script tag, you can see it there. It says there, it's about 2/3 of the way down, all from a single script tag. Script src equals ip-hook.js. Right? That's all it takes to hook into one of these frameworks. This framework here that we've shown you here is called Beef. It's called the Browser Exploitation Framework. Right? It's a tool that's built for penetration testers, for hackers, right? And it's freely available. You can just go online right now and download it and set it up for yourself if you want to try it. Right? It's all there. And take control of somebody's browser. And so what the lesson is here, and what the message that I've got to bring, the first one of my lessons for you tonight, is be very, very, very careful of two things. First of all, the bottom one, which is who do you let access to your WordPress site? Who do you let in to have authoring access to your website? Because if you let somebody in that can author a web page on your website, and they put one of these script tags into one of your web pages, well, guess what? All of your customers get hit with one of these, right? But that's not the really scary thing, because you're thinking, well, I don't give anybody access to my website. I don't give people access to my kind of authoring stuff, right? What I could do is actually, where you're really exposed on this, is the second last one, which is what the XSS bit is, the cross-site scripting. And so it's any circumstance where you ask a user for user input. Every time you put a form up onto a web page, right, with a submit button, let us know what you think. Fill in these comments, right? Contact form 7, WordPress comments, this kind of thing. Right? You have to be very conscious of not allowing script tags, because the moment you allow somebody to paste a script tag into your form box, right, they can hit the submit button and just jack all your users, right? Does this make sense? Has anybody here ever jacked a backlink off a forum? I know Craig has, right? He's not paying attention. You must have done that. I know Toy has this probably as well. You've gone on and you've injected an href tag into a forum post. You've gone onto a forum and said, hey, I want a backlink off that forum, so I'm going to href, blah, 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 and you've managed to get a backlink off that forum. Well, it's exactly the same stuff. If you are developing stuff, if you are creating new things, right, in PHP, you have to explicitly handle this stuff. You have to check for this stuff. You have to make sure that people aren't allowed to do this sort of stuff. Otherwise, you expose yourself to a cross-site scripting attack. All it takes is somebody to turn up, copy and paste that script tag into your form box, hit the submit button, and guess what? They've got all your users. Wow, isn't that fun? Right? So that's lesson number 1. We're all okay with that? You all understand what I'm talking about here? You guys okay, comfortable with this? All right, brilliant. This is Connor's difficult bit over and done with. Can you move the next slide on, please, now? There we go. So that's lesson number 1. So lesson number 2 here for you tonight is all about plugins in WordPress, right? Generally, the good news on WordPress is that actually WordPress core, the actual build of WordPress, is fairly secure. Yes, there's millions of users using WordPress, right? If there's an exploit, if there's a hole, if there's a gap, if something's found, actually they're fairly good at fixing it, right? Because there's millions of users using it. But you know what? See for plugins, see for themes. See, you've got a plugin that's got 10,000, 20,000 users. Who's looking at it, right? What developer is going through that code to check to make sure it's all right? Well, I'll let you into a wee secret. No one. Don't deactivate, delete your plugins, right? I meant to say, Connor's going to hit some of them. Go and hit some of them with some of these. He's been hitting some of these. You should actually see that some of your phones, if you've gone onto Blackpage and you've gone and used some of this stuff, you've actually gone into Blackpage, you probably look at your phones now and we're hitting you. Right? We're changing your website, we're redirecting you onto different places, we're showing these kind of pop-ups on your screens. Right? Because we've got control of your browsers. Right? Just by having a single script tag on there, it's there. So, these are the concerns for WordPress users. Right? Deactivation is bad. The files are still there. Right? There's still a PHP file on your server. Right? Okay, it doesn't show up in your WordPress, but do you know what? The PHP file is still there. Somebody can still access it. If there's a scanner getting run over the top of your website and it finds that PHP file, even if it's an old plugin, you've left it there for the last 6 months, you haven't bothered upgrading because it's deactivated, well, guess what? They can just exploit it, right? So delete your plugins, right? Don't leave them sitting there. Don't leave them lying, right? The second thing is SQL injection. It's really difficult for me to explain this to you because I know not many of your developers. Generally speaking, SQL injection among the development community is quite well known these days. This used to be the big hole. Right, and most plugin developers are aware of this. For the record, parameterized SQL. Right, for anybody that's interested in PHP, you need to write parameterized SQL. But the third thing here, which is a bit there, the less well-known file upload exploit, which is basically any plugin that allows an upload of a file, especially if you can change the name of the file. Because I can upload a file to your website, right? And I can change the name of that file to ///content plugins themes wplogin.php, right? And you're like, hold on, sorry, that's not what I asked for. I thought you were uploading an image file. Well, no, actually, I'm going to upload a PHP file to your website, right? I'm going to pretend it was an image file, and I'm going to actually malform the path. That's what it says there. Upload a file and set name to be ... this. And so you actually, if you're a PHP developer, have to explicitly check for that. Are your plugin developers doing that? Do you think the wee guy that's knocked out the plugin quickly just to sell it and done that, do you think he's checked for that? Right, so be very, very, very conscious of any plugin that's on your site, right, that allows a file upload, because it may be vulnerable. This is where most of the major vulnerabilities come from in WordPress. Right, if you've got, I know that Yoast get hit with this one, and there's a few other major providers who just weren't checking for this, and people were allowed to upload a file and overwrite the files, the actual system files of your actual WordPress website, right? Does that make sense? The general rule here is if you're not using a plugin, delete it, right? Don't leave it sitting there. If you've got good site maintenance, if you've got a good attitude to how you run your websites, make sure that you delete these plugins. Don't leave them sitting there deactivated, right? Because they're still there. People can still abuse them. Yes? And again, if it's a maintenance plugin, if it's not actually a plugin that's used for users, if users aren't actually actively using this on a day-to-day basis, delete it. If it's tiny PNG, if it's a plugin that allows you to replace files or do a bit of maintenance on your website, delete it. Right? It doesn't need to be there. Have a good attitude that says, I'm going to tidy my website up, I'm going to keep it nice and clean, I'm not going to leave stuff lying around, right? Because you're just exposing people to particular security flaws. Alright, so this is lesson number 2 for your WordPress sites. I know a lot of you are using WordPress if you're in digital. Yes? So, you ready for the really scary one? Third one? What? He's going to redirect you. Right. You got us on the last slide, please, Connor. There we go. This is the really, really, really scary thing. Right? And you all need to be well aware of this, right? I'm going to say this, I'm going to repeatedly say this to you, right? Never use the same password on 2 different platforms, right? Never do that, right? See if your password on your LinkedIn is the same as your password on your Facebook, is the same as the password on your Uber, is the same as the password as the gaming forum that you signed up for last week, right? You're a fucking idiot. You deserve to be hacked, right? I'm sorry, you are. Because what people are doing, what the hackers do is they create compilation files. Every time a platform gets breached, and you can see some of the names that are up there. LinkedIn, Uber, Yahoo, Ashley Madison. Any Ashley Madison? No, you know, right? Every time one of these platforms gets breached, right, every time they extract 500,000, 2 million users out of it, they all add it to a massive big file. there's these compilation files that are circulating around the internet, right? And it contains huge amounts of passwords and usernames, right? And see if your password and username's in there, right? And it's the same across all your websites, across your cPanel, across your LinkedIn, across your Facebook, across this. They're looking for that. They can tell that as soon as they see 2 breaches with the same login and password, oh, there's a target, right? There's somebody I want to go and get. Connor's hopefully going to bring one of these up. We're going to show you one of these, right? It's a really, really scary thing. Here he goes. It's quite awkward to do this for him. We're seeing files being circulated across, and this isn't even on the darknet. You're like, oh well, this is on the darknet. It's only a few people have got this. No. This is completely available. Is it screwed? Aye. He's trying to get it at the top. Bring it down. That's you. Right.
Fuck that website the other day.
Did I what? No, I didn't. No, you're right. That's you. Just go into the new tab. Just bring it up. Right. Bring it back again in a second. Right. And so the idea is that basically we're seeing these massive files. There's 55 million usernames that come out of LinkedIn. There's a massive amount of stuff that's coming in, and they're circulating all across the internet. What you need to be doing is keeping a unique password for every single system that you log into. Every single place that you log into should have a different password. What it means is if one of these platforms gets breached, right? If we all end up getting hacked and somebody gets all the passwords for that system, well, okay, you lost your Yahoo account. Here you are. Here's Raid forums. Right, here you look at this, right? There is 1.4 billion usernames and passwords in these files, right? And this isn't, look at the amount of stuff that's on here. The data contains almost 2.7 billion records, right? This is every hack that's ever happened, all compiled into one single big download. Just nice and easy for all those hackers to go and get hold of, right? And so, if your password's in that, right, and it's the same password you use across 15 different sites, well, do you know what? You're toast. Sorry, right? They can just walk into anywhere they fancy, right? So if you want to test this, you can bring that back down again. It's a bit awkward on here. There's a site on here. You got it at the top. Oh, there it is. Have I been pawned? All you gotta do is put your email in here, put Gary's in for a laugh, right? Right? Jump online.uk. Right? How many times has Gary been exposed?
UK.
Just UK, not. .uk, here you go. Oh no, pawn, 2 sites. Right? He's been breached twice. That means that they have his password from two different sign-up sites. Right? Now, if he's used the same password in lots of different places, that means they've got access to everything. Right? Absolutely everything. Right? And these things are freely available. Like I said, it's not small systems. It's LinkedIn, it's Uber, it's Yahoo. And you're like, hold on, sorry, excuse me. That doesn't happen that often. And if you're careful and it's just one password, in case somebody gets hold of your Uber account, right, well, they might order you a taxi. Right? It's not the end of the world. Right? But see if they get access to your cPanel, see if it's the same password you used in 2 different places, you're in real trouble. So how do you protect yourself against this? What you really need is a password manager. Right? You need a password manager that's going to allow you to keep different passwords on different systems. If you're not doing anything here, I don't think Tay's actually not, Bonnie's got the one on there. Right? I guarantee you, if all of you go to Have I Been Pawned, you'll find that your password is in there. That means that your password and your login, your email details are somewhere in one of these big hack files, right? So it's a real concern, and this is the #1 way that people get hacked, right? This is the #1 way that people get hacked. Can you take us back to the presentation thing? Just about. It's a bit of an awkward one, this one. There we go. So, there you go there. There's all the details there. And what one do you want to use? What doesn't matter, I'll be honest. Right? Go and use a password manager. We use KeyPass because it's file-based. If you want to use one of the online ones, there's loads of plugins, there's loads of things that make this really easy to use. You've got no excuses. You've got absolutely no excuses. So we move on to the last slide. Okay, so the good news. Want the good news? Well, the good news is actually that the security of certain routes in has actually been really tightened up in recent times. So browsers are a lot more secure than they used to be. Chrome, Firefox, actually it won't let you execute exe files, it won't let you execute batch files. A lot of the actual infrastructure in Windows 10 and in Mac has got a lot stronger in recent times, right? It's not as bad as it used to be. IE's dead, yes, finally, right? Nobody's using Internet Explorer anytime. Please don't, for fuck's sake, use Internet Explorer, right? Because it's really not very secure at all. here's the advice. Right? If you keep your WordPress sites tidy, don't leave plugins lying around, don't deactivate them, delete them when you're not using them, keep them tidy anyway. You should be doing that anyway, right? Use a unique password on different platforms, right? So you're not sharing passwords. I know it's a big long password, nobody's going to guess it, doesn't matter. If they've managed to breach some system, they've got it and they can use it somewhere else, right? Run WordFence or similar security plugins on your website, right? It'll start picking this up, it'll start giving you some kind of defense against it. Right? Know how to spot the phishing in browsers or emails. So some of the stuff we showed you earlier on with Beef, right? Some of those kind of slightly older looking Google sign-ins, some of the clippy stuff, you guys are all digital, right? You're all professionals, you know how to spot this shit, right? Please don't fall for it, all right? Don't let people post content to your site, right? Don't let them have WordPress logins to your sites. I know it's an author account, right? And that allows them to author a new post, and it means that the offshore that you've hired to write all your content can do it directly. Actually, it's really dangerous. All they have to do is slip a script tag in there and they'll beef you, right? And there's much worse things than what beef is. And again, try not to be very conscious of plugins that allow people to sign up for stuff. Allows anything that basically a form that they can fill in that either ends up with you viewing it in your admin console, or worse still, somebody actually seeing it on the website is potentially vulnerable to a cross-site scripting attack. Right? There's an old Glasgow saying here, don't look like prey. Right? If your security is tighter than everybody else, well, there's a very good chance actually it's a numbers game. All right? They're trying to hack lots of people at lots of times. They've got a big list of people to do. They try you. You're a bit more difficult than everyone else, they move on to somebody else. If anybody's looking at their logs on their websites, if anybody's actually bothered looking through any of their web logs in recent times, you'll see that there's 50 approaches every single day. They're trying your WP admin file, they're trying your PHP admin file. There's lots of automated scripting attacks that are happening every single day. Right? The last thing on there I would say is it's very difficult to defend against anybody that's going to target you. Right? So if somebody's going to target you, somebody like me is actually going to go for you, right, it's actually very difficult to defend against it because we're specifically going to craft something against you. Right? Be very nice to people who know technology. Right? That's my advice. Okay. If you want to be sure, if you want to be absolutely certain, the good news is that there's a profession for this shit. Right? It's called penetration testing. There's guys out there that do this stuff for a living. Right? Their job is to use scanners and tools, and they can automatically check a lot of your sites, run these scanners across your websites and try to analyse to see if they can find any holes in your sites, right? If you're really genuinely concerned about this sort of stuff, go and hire a pen tester or get the tools yourself. If you want to go and download Kali Linux or Parrot, these are the operating systems that contain most of these security tools. Go and learn how this works, go and have a go at it yourself, right? It's not all bad news, but be very, 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 very conscious of the breach compilations that are going on. That using passwords in multiple locations is just a bad idea in the modern world. It's the big thing that everybody's using. All right? That all makes sense? That's the end of my presentation. I hope that you guys rest a bit easier on that. Not really?